Hello world, my name is Max Stein and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
My name is Raph, and I also love video games.
Hey friends, Vinny here, and I love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Warning, the Game Treasure Podcast is not for children or anyone with a brain for that matter. This week, we're relaxing with a hot Steam. We're doing a hot Steam grab bag. Why, you ask? Because there were a lot of good games with a lot of good demos, a lot of good games on sale that were like $20 or less. I had like a bunch in my cart, and I was like, let's play these. And I just sent these guys a screenshot, like, so let's just play all of these because these look incredible. And goddamn, I gotta say, I found one that I really enjoyed.
Nailed it.
That I will talk
At
great lengths about.
Good week for that. Good week for that.
Yeah.
It's
God,
PAX East. PAX East is this week. And so everybody was like, I'll get a game out there.
Nice.
But
Good
I
point.
digress. Let's start the show off, as we always should, by going to the Retro Zone, powered by the Megabuck and RetroGameTreasure.com. Buck, please, if you could.
Let's go back in time.
So what was
That
that?
had an old army vibe to
I'm
it,
going
I
to
think,
require
right?
Canadian maple leaves and whatnot
Oh,
falling.
I see. Oh,
That was my beginning of the Canadian
Oh,
national anthem.
Canada.
Right?
Let's go back.
Because
in
if,
time.
because if
Now
we're gonna
I've got
do if it's gonna be Canada, then it's got to be an old classic that we all played as kids and or pseudo kids, like you two
Okay.
probably did, right? Doing something a little different this week that I wouldn't normally do, but I saw it on the shelf and I got super excited about ice hockey for the
Oh, shit.
original NES.
Nice.
Okay.
Now you might say, Buck, that's a sports game. You're gonna focus this as a retro zone? Well, yes, first of all, because it's flipping awesome. Ice hockey is only like a $5 or $6 game. It's a pretty common game. But if you were like me and a lot of other people and you sold your collections or for beer money in college, or you got rid of it, or they got lost in a move or something like that, this is like one of those staples for your NES collection.
I agree. This is just as good as Tecmo Bowl when it comes to old NES games that are simple to play,
Mhm.
but have a nice replayability if you have at least two people. You know what I mean? I guess
Yeah.
you can play this. You know, I play single player, what's
sure.
it called?
yeah.
Tecmo Bowl all the time. But I'm just saying,
Absolutely.
I
But
couldn't agree with Buck more about this game.
one, double dribble, Tecmo Ball.
Yeah.
Some really good staples.
I'd call those
I played a lot of that.
elbower games where you're playing side by side with your friend or your sibling and you're elbowing them the whole time that you're it's getting physical, plus it's getting physical inside the game, right?
Hell yeah, dude.
So if you guys haven't played ice hockey, you pick from 3 different characters for your team. There's the little guy who's fast and weak, but he's really good in the face-off. There's the all-around guy, the medium guy, and then there's the fat dude that's slow, but he has a really good hitting strength.
And you look like Mario.
And again,
Kinda did.
guys, what's the best part about ice hockey?
Fighting.
The team fight.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! How do they
Yeah,
do
baby.
that?
I
on
can't remember how to
NES?
spawn the team
How does
fight.
that
I remember
work?
doing the individual fights.
I think it's an
one-on-one.
RNG thing, if I'm not mistaken. You can get 2 guys to fight, and they end up in the penalty box, obviously.
cool.
But there's always that random chance that the whole team gets in on the brawl, and it becomes like a Wile E. Coyote, a dust cloud kerfluffle in
That's funny as hell.
of the arena. But
Love that.
man, if it's not a cool game. This was an R&D4 game, and it was co-developed by Pax Softnica. No idea who they are, and there's no wiki link for them as well either. But I mean, it's ice
Raph,
hockey.
we got to get a copy of this game.
True.
From
Yeah,
Buck.
I don't really have any
$5
sports
for.
games, yeah.
I mean, color
Yeah.
sprites. It looks good. You're moving fast. I love the fact that there's different players to select that have actual different sprites. Tecmo Bowl, people have different speeds and stuff.
Mhm.
Obviously, Bo Jackson is incredibly fast, but he doesn't look any different than any of the other sprites in Tecmo Bowl.
Mhm.
So the fact that you get these 3 different builds is so what's it called? Like novel and fun and cute, especially for an NES game.
Yeah. Could
Your
use some
fun
sports
your
games.
fun ice hockey fact is that in Nintendo Power, when they ranked their top 200 NES games as like a retrospective, once the NES was all kind of wrapped up, they ranked this number 142.
Not bad. Not
Yeah.
bad for a hockey game.
Very
No,
For
respectable.
as huge as that library was, that's
Right.
Right.
That's quite good.
Right.
I love that it's just called ice hockey as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ice
So
hockey.
go
Yeah.
now. What do you want? Go now to retrogametreasure.com, subscribe, put sports games and NES. Is this a fun sports game? Because it is fun.
It kind of skirts that, but we really do put it in the real sports category for one reason alone, and that's because it's not a high value game. Because remember, we're sending 3 to 5 games a month, and our system is compiling them based on the actual values of them from price charting and other websites. So if we're trying to hit a $40 value for you, we're only putting $5 or $6 of your box's budget, let's call it, into ice hockey.
That makes sense. I didn't think
you
about
get
that
a lot
way.
of bang for your buck if you get a copy of ice hockey in there. I'll tell you what.
But the producer, the designer of this game went on to do great things. He helped with the team for Super Mario Kart, Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, and Luigi's Mansion.
Damn,
Wow.
that's how you know it's good.
Damn.
Hideki Kono.
So go now to www.retrogametreasure.com and you too could obtain a copy of Ice Hockey for the NES. Now I want one. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to relax and jump into the shower with a hot steam. See you on the other side. Okay, we're back. And gentlemen, it is time to relax. Steam cue, music cue. Everybody take a big deep breath and remember that video games are so fun. Sometimes you can spend no money on a video game and have one of the best video gaming experiences you've ever had in your entire life.
Crazy.
All
honestly.
thanks to Valve's Steam platform. Hot Steam being the segment of our show where we basically just talk about, sometimes we all play the same game on Steam, sometimes we play different games on Steam. In today's episode, we all basically picked different games and overlapped a little bit, but we have several games on the docket. So let's begin digging in, gentlemen, because I've got a lot to say about one of these games in particular. The first one that I wanted to talk about, though, was one that Mr. Venacor and myself both played, which is doing pretty well on Steam, it's not as original as it may think, according to the Megabuck, but Wizordum.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
It's just funny, their marketing
Homage
campaign.
is great.
I'll tell you this.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say Wizordum is a first-person shooter. It's a boomer shooter, if you will. That, not to be derogatory, but it's a boomer shooter.
Is that a negative term?
I don't know.
It used to be, but it's not anymore.
Come
Ever since
No,
Steam adopted
the word
it. Yeah.
boomer, I guess, kind of
Yeah.
feels like. So then when you say boomer shooter, it's like, that's weird. Anyhow, I digress. The one big differential for me in this one is it's got a very colorful art style, and it takes place in a high fantasy world. Buck, of course, was saying, like, this is basically just Hex. And
Hexen.
what's the sequel to
Hexen
Hexen?
and Heretic, yeah.
Heretic.
Yeah.
The two.
And he's pretty much right. The difference being that it doesn't have the same art style. The art style in this game, I think, is what I liked the best about it. Mr. Venacor, what did you think of Wizordum?
A lot of what you said, stylistically, the way it pops out at you on screen, these big, vibrant, large pixel art creations that they've done, and right from the start, like the prologue has this like rich, buttery voice acting. I thought it was going to be like a silly deal.
There's a
And then all of a
Chiron
sudden,
that happens a la Star Wars, and there's a guy reading it epically.
You get this big like lore dump at the beginning, and it's like, whoa. But yeah, I mean, big, vibrant pixel art throughout. They really picked an amazing style. The controls are simple and intuitive. There's lots of secrets in each level, a la Doom. So if you're a secret person, by the way, I found Doom Guy in the demo.
I didn't
Wizardum.
find that, and
Awesome.
Venny
FYI.
shared that in our Discord. There's a painting of Doom Guy, his portrait,
It's
literally.
hidden in one of the secret rooms, and there's a shop system, so all the stuff you're collecting, you can like upgrade your stuff
in between levels.
But you know what? You know what I think was one of my favorite parts. It had some great scripted moments in the first couple levels.
Okay.
You get to play the.
That's
you
a
get to
Doom
play the
thing.
Yeah,
you get
that's
to play the
a
first
boomer
two
shooter
levels.
thing. I feel like a good one has good these, what he's about to describe.
Yeah, so you get to play the first two levels, and the second level is actually quite long, and very deep.
Yeah.
It has some QOL, some quality of life stuff from modern games like wheel selection, middle mouse, some easy, like intuitive hotkey stuff. But it definitely scratches that pixel art itch, and it delivers good gameplay from like the very start. I'm kind of interested to see what kind of creativity they get up to in later levels, because like with the scripted moments, and like there's a boss fight at the end of the second level, which had some really cool mechanics. And I'm thinking, wow, if that's just level 2 boss fight, I wonder what some of the later ones look like. It was a great time. I played the demo. Highly recommend downloading the demo. It was a great hour spent, and even the backtracking that you do in these kind of games sometimes, because I found the key, now I have to go back and do that. The backtracking is nice and fast. It doesn't feel tedious at all. The levels connect the levels connect in a very logical way.
You can hold your map while you're running, so if you need to backtrack, you just like hold it and
Yeah.
like fucking zip through
That's
the
a
level because
very-
you can see yourself on the map.
Very modern
Watching the
QOL kind
trailer
of thing.
for this, it looks like there was like almost like an like a destructible environment in one section.
You can
Like, is
destroy
that
a lot
thing?
of stuff. You can like
Yep.
basically every barrel, every bush, and there'll be like corpses that you can loot around, but you can walk up to them and press E to loot them, but you can also just smash them with your mace and they
That's great.
explode and whatever was inside them comes out of them.
Pretty fun.
So you played the cleric, I played the sorcerer.
That's another thing that I wanted to mention is that there are different classes that you can play, and they start with different equipment and spells. The demo that Mr. Vanacore and I played only had 2 classes, but there are more in the full game apparently. And then while you're in the levels, you'll discover a thing like like I'm a cleric, but I found these like fire rings that basically are a gun from Doom. Like you just like shoot fireballs like constantly. And then later I found like an ice staff. And I don't know, I haven't
Yeah,
played
that
much
was
of
cool.
Doom 1 and 2, but is there just one type of ammo in Doom? Or does
No,
every
there's ammo
gun
for the different
No,
guns.
So
there's
in
different
this
rockets and
game-
shotgun shells and
in this game,
Yeah,
you
right.
just I really like this. You just collect magic orbs,
Okay.
and it is all of your ammo.
that's cool.
Every time you go to use a gun, aka a spell, it just uses magic orbs. And the weapons had, I don't know if this is in Doom
Interesting.
either, correct me if I'm wrong, but they weapons had like interactions you could do. So if you shot someone with the freezing staff a couple of times, you would freeze them in place and they would be literally covered in ice. And then
That's a
if you
Hexen thing.
if you
Yeah, right.
switch
The
to
Hexen
another
and
weapon
Heretic had
and then
that.
hit them just once, they would pop basically.
Yeah, Hexen and
so-
Heretic had that.
That's
I was like,
interesting, Mac, because
cool.
as the sorcerer, you were actually collecting different resources for the different elemental like things. So I needed a specific energy for fire, a specific energy for the ice staff. So I think it might depend on like
Pretty cool.
class and
The
build as well. So
class.
there's some depth there. It was a great time, a great
So
hour
is-
spent for sure.
I was trying to listen and not judge, but is this just like a single player barony with a Doom twist?
I wrote in my notes it's got big
Definitely
barony
not.
vibes, but then it's
yeah.
like
I
at that
think the
point I'm just
speed of
kind
it-
of being
the
very
speed of it
general.
would probably be would make this different. I would imagine that it probably plays more like Hexen or Heretic or like Doom or
Right.
something like that.
That's what I mean by like the Doom twist on it. Like it's
I
a
don't think it
slightly
is,
more
Buck.
action-y.
I was
Yeah, I
thinking
think
about that
that's-
toward the beginning. In my opinion, no, because Barony has like this build your character,
RPG.
build the gear, very very RPG kind of stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
and this doesn't
This
have
is
that.
not have that.
This is way less complex.
And when you were talking about the level designs and stuff, I mean that makes a Doom game, right? I mean,
Right.
Yes,
however,
that's the
how
other
good
difference.
The level design
Yeah,
is.
for sure.
In Barony you've got the randomly created levels, where in this, what I said earlier, it's like these boomer shooters live and die by you will be on the end of a hallway and there'll be a treasure chest at the end of it and you'll go, oh cool, and then you'll go and you'll pick it up and you hear goo goo goo, and then you turn around and the ceiling has fallen and a bunch of orcs have fallen through the ceiling. You're like, oh shit, like and then, I don't know, stuff
If you've
like
ever
that.
played
just
the
happens
original
at a-
Unreal, yes, but it goes for like
Yeah.
scare tactic instead.
Yeah,
the stuff happens at a pretty good clip and it's all
I got
pretty
I got
like
jump scared a
Benny
few
said,
times.
well scripted. Yeah,
In
absolutely.
this,
yeah.
Like
Okay.
like you found a hidden wall. Like, ooh, a hidden wall. Okay, open it. Oh, there's a monster right there.
Yeah, there'll be a goblin like right on the other side, just like Doom. We'll put a demon on the other side of a door, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Cacodemon.
But
Academia.
yeah, demo out. You can try it if you want. I think if you like boomer shooters and you just like want one that when I was playing it, I was like, this reminds me of the 40K one, where it's just competent, it's in its IP, and it's if you like
Bolt gun.
these style of games and you want one that's set in the fantasy universe, I would rather play this than Hexen.
Same.
Oh, that's fair.
Oh, this
Um,
looks
I'll
very
say
much
this.
my shit, honestly. Yeah, it's very.
Final thought from me on Wizardum. Just go watch the trailer and you'll know right away if you want to play this game. or
Pretty
not.
much.
It's either your
Yeah.
vibe. It's either instantly going to be your vibe or just move
That's
on.
cool.
That's pretty much the exact synopsis and all I had, competent game for what it is, but not exactly my cup of tea per se.
I'm probably going to buy it.
But the next game I'd like to talk about is very much so my cup of tea, and it's a game that I was like, Buck, oh my god, this is for you. They made this another game for you.
Man.
I'm talking about Look Outside.
Oh my!
I played this one too. Yeah.
Pardon me while I get the dev, and because I'm bad, I'm sorry.
I
So
watched
the
Buck
developer
play
is
this for a few minutes.
Francis Coulombe. It's just somebody's name, but it's a Devolver Digital publisher who I love absolutely, and they, I get
Same.
updates every time a new Devolver Digital game comes out, and so Steam was like, hey, check this out. So this came out on March 21st, 2025. Raph had originally shared, like doubled down on like, yo. So this game, Buck and myself and Raph all played it. It is, Buck, would you like to explain actually what Look Outside is?
It's pretty easy, actually. It's based on both Sweet Home, the NES Famicom game, and Sweet Home, the K-drama Netflix show at the same time.
So
I didn't know that was a thing, by the way.
As if Silent Hill and a JRPG had a baby.
Earthbound style combat, right? Something like that. It kind of
Sweet
feels
Home,
a little,
the Famicom game, which you've heard me talk about before, is a Earthbound style first person, random encounter game. Takes place in a haunted mansion, basically. And Sweet Home, the Netflix show, is a bunch of people trapped in an apartment building during an apocalypse where people are turning into monsters and attacking the non-monster people in the apartment building. It's those two things, which both happen to be named Sweet Home, put together into a game.
That's very true. So yes, it's a pixel art survival horror turn-based RPG.
Dude,
all those words.
Holy smokes.
So the game begins and you are a young kid in bed. You get to rename yourself, but your default name is Sam, and you start the game, and the game tells you that you have the urge to like look outside, look out your window,
and you have to do it.
And when Raph didn't, can you believe
didn't.
that? So
No
you get
way.
out of bed.
I didn't.
And you go to walk towards your window, and then your neighbor, who is a spooky eye in the wall, tells you like, "Hey, you should go look outside. It's really cool out there."
And then they say, "No, don't. Just kidding."
And then he does say, "Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. It's actually really bad for you." And then you simply must, unless you're a heathen. And man, when I watched it, I told Raph, I was like, it reminded me of being 8 years old and watching you play Resident Evil when you turn around and try to leave through the front door, and it gives you that real-time cutscene of the dogs like attacking you. It legitimately scared the shit out of me, because basically your guy opens the window and this dramatic sting happens, and then like it shows from outside the perspective of your guy's face, and his like body just gets sucked through the window, like face first. Like I can't. It's horrifying.
It's a turn-based RPG, so you can obviously die in combat. I have found at least 4 other ways to die besides combat, including that.
Wow. So, I mean, as far as the RPG of it all, we've already said it's turn-based like Mother. But also, I did want to mention that it reminded me a lot of Persona, because there is a day system. Because the game basically, your neighbor tells you whatever's going on outside is probably going to blow over in 15 days.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay. And you literally have to spend time during the day either doing shit in your apartment or walking around your apartment complex.
Yeah.
Which is basically just Silent Hill. I was like, I was talking to Raph. I was like, I'm so impressed. Because I haven't played Sweet Home, how easily the survival horror genre and the RPG genre touch.
Yes.
Because there are moments when in Final Fantasy, you might be traveling the world map and see an enemy and think, oh, I can't fight him right now, I'm low on health. But in this game, when you're in a hallway and a monster is running after you and you're low on health and you have to run away from him, it feels more like Resident Evil. It feels more like Silent Hill. And I was just like, I just never made that connection in my brain before. This is so
The
horrifying.
day and the night cycle are kind of based on every time you enter and exit rooms, a little bit of time passes, and every time you do activities like play games or read books or cook or shower or whatever, it increases stats because it's an RPG, but it's also doing that passage of time on those. The really neat mechanic with the game is there's only so much you can explore each day. Like on day 1, there's only so much you can get to before you've run into every locked door. And so you go back to your apartment, you do stuff in your apartment, you go to the next day, and then the next day, your neighbor's like, hey, I heard this really weird like running sound outside, and there was something out there, but I didn't see anything, but it sounded like it had way more than 2 feet. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
if you could find
Whole
it
lot of that in this
and then
game.
you realize when you enter a new room that you hadn't been into yet this time around, that you walk through doors, and about 2 or 3 seconds after you walk through the door behind you opens and then closes again briefly.
Oh yeah.
jeez.
Oh yeah. No. Oh my god, dude.
Tons
Okay.
of jump scares in this game. There's when the
Whoa.
enemies first spawn, there's a jump scare that happened that made me like
Yeah.
audibly get like scream, even though it's this
There's
super simple pixel art, and
Yeah,
I
it
know
doesn't
it's
matter.
a turn-based RPG. So I'm like, even if you get caught, like it's gonna like
You have
Still
time to
gross.
think.
and then like warp into just
it has a really great thing that it does is when you go into first person mode to fight monsters, the monsters usually start further away from you, like
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
they
background.
approach.
And so you have melee and ranged weapons. You can attach both of them, and the melee weapons can break, but it has a whole system with like your MP that they call your whatever they call it, SP or whatever your ability points.
right.
And
Stamina,
there's
I
a
think
bunch
is
of
what it
extra
is.
items that you'll get. Yeah, it's like stamina. But the really neat mechanic is as the enemies get closer to you, it gets easier to strike them, but they also get more detailed, and because as they slink out of the shadows, and they become like terrifyingly ugly, or like it looked like just a guy in a cloak, and then as he comes forward, you see like 5 hands with knives coming out of the cloak, and then by the time he gets all the way to the foreground, like he's right in your face, and the cloak is gone, and he's got 6 mouths, and it's terrifying.
And as you
Geiger
hit
shit.
them, their appearance
Yikes.
changes too. Like their clothes will start to shred off and stuff like that. That had a moment in
Oh,
this game
wow.
that really made me like sweat, and it was so simple. It was when I was in my own apartment, I suddenly got like a thing at the bottom, like a little dialogue box that said, "You feel a warm breath on your face," and that's it. That's it. That was enough to
There's-
make me just start sweating. Like
There's quite a bit in that game that I read a little bit behind the curtain because it has a crafting system. I was trying to learn about some of the
I
items,
see.
and because it's finite, so I didn't want to waste too many. And you learned about things where when you go for to the next day or so, people will come to your apartment door and knock on the door.
Be like, let
And
me in.
You obviously will look through the peephole, right?
You can, or you can just open the door.
Yeah, which you should never do. But the funny thing is when you look through the peephole, they always, no matter who it is, they always try to make them look scary. It was like they look absolutely terrifying because they were really just a guy in a trench coat. And then once you open the door, he's like, "Hey, I'm William from down the thing. Do you have any food I could have?" And you get, XP for
But
sharing.
not
food with your
always.
neighbor.
Sometimes it'll
No.
look like a little girl, and you open it up, and then it's actually a Cronenbergian nightmare creature, and you're like, "Oh
Which is-
shit, no!" And
which
you
is
gotta
funny
fight him at your
because
own door.
All of that is RNG to play it multiple times because I've gotten that girl as a party member. But I think
That's
there's also
wild.
a chance that she could just show up as a fucking monster.
Wild.
Not to mention, we did like you can take a shower, you can brush your
Yeah.
teeth because you have like a sanity meter where if
Yeah.
you explore too much, there are like certain enemies that won't attack you; they'll just make you go insane.
Yeah.
which
Yeah, I
is
had
really
one guy
cool.
just staring at me. And
Yeah.
it made me panic. Apparently.
There's
Right.
sorry, there's there's a lot of systems in play.
Yeah.
And the cooking of food and like every NPC that you talk to that isn't trying to kill you, you can attack like
Yeah.
Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done because it's like I don't know what the consequences.
Yeah, some of them help you. Like the guy that has the dark room to develop
Yeah.
stuff. You need that for one of the puzzles. I don't
guy
know
that
what
has
you would.
the dark room who
have-
wants to kiss you.
Have you
Yeah.
met the wall with the mouth that
No.
asks you to feed it a
A
child?
baby,
No,
yeah.
no.
It says, "Bring me a child," and I was like, "Well, that's horrifying."
In this giant red font, like size 50 font, it says,
Yeah.
"Feed me a child."
I was just like, "Oh my god!"
What?
And then, of course, 2 floors later, you hear like a crying baby, and you're like,
Yes.
"Oh no!
Oh, this is
this isn't
okay.
good."
So I learned, without spoilers on that part, I've learned that there are like major choices you can make in the game because there are multiple ways to solve some scenarios.
Wow.
Oh.
It
Well,
gives it replayability. It's really
Yeah,
neat.
look
Dude, it's so-
outside. It's got overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. It's like under $20. It is all those things that we just said: turn-based
Yeah.
horror game, and incredibly original,
so much fun.
incredibly cool. The addition of those time-spending mechanics, I think, sets it above your average like indie RPG.
I can't wait to
Really
see the
good.
rest of the team. I just got the janitor on my team. He's
Oh
one of
my
my party
God.
members. the Janitor.
I've run into the janitor's closet. Yeah. Wow.
There's 4 party member slots, so you get at least 4 people. And I love a 4-person party RPG.
Yeah, I haven't found an up another person yet.
You don't for a while, and then it starts to show them. Yeah, it's
Scary
becomes a
game.
thing. It's just I love the whole knocking on the door thing with the people. That is just such a fun, because at one point you're gonna look through that peephole and there's gonna just be like a thing right here, right? Like
sure,
you just know. Yeah. Okay. Here's what happened. I just watched Dario Argento's opera, and there is a scene where the killer is coming for them. And she's looking through the peephole, and he's going, "I'm a cop. See my identification." And she's like, "No, I can't see it. Anyone can have one of those. It's too blurry." And he goes, "Look, it's my gun. You see my gun? Does a cop have a gun?" And she goes, "No, let me see your face." And he shoots her through the peephole with the pistol.
Ooh, my worst nightmare.
Yeah, dude.
Well, look outside. Go and pick it up on Steam now. I want to move on. Raph, you had a Deus Ex game. None of us touched it. Did you want to go on that, or did you want to just go right to? Okay.
I can definitely talk about this one.
Yeah.
Mac needs 20 minutes for his barbecue.
Yeah,
I might.
I'll be brief. So I played a game called Peripeteia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's spelled Peripeteia. This was developed and published by a studio called Ninth Exodus, and it came out like in February of this year, so it's pretty fresh. So obviously it's trying to emulate the feeling of playing like the classic Deus Ex game or like System Shock, but it's got this really cool sort of like post-Soviet, like alternate history Poland cyberpunk vibe. I don't even know how to describe it. But this game is pure vibes. Like, it's the most immersive game that I've played in a long time. It starts off, you just wake up in a ditch, and it's got like this sort of like digital static. There's like a tape recorder on a table next to you. You pick it up, you try to listen to it. I can't fucking understand a thing in there. Terrifying sounding. There's just like industrial sounds everywhere. It's very confusing at first. You find a ladder, you climb the ladder, you go and you find a warehouse, and then you're suddenly in an old train station with the Soviet Union's anthem playing in the background, and it's raining outside, and you've got some crazy, like, this guy sends you on a job, all right? Tells you to go to the planetarium, and you have to get a thing for him over there, but there's people there, there's like separatists or whatever, I don't know. But the best part is that you have to go and you have to climb up on rooftops, and the game doesn't give you any direction as to how you approach this. You can approach it however you want because it's an immersive sim. But the feeling of like using a cyber augmentation to run and jump onto another rooftop and do all this in the rain while there's like lights flashing everywhere and it's dark, and like you're going in and out of warehouses to kind of like find shortcuts, and the rain is hidden. There's this weird, uncanny, but also kind of cozy feeling of doing all of that. And then stalking the shadows and having like guards just walk right by you, and you have your little pistol there. It's it's a stealth game.
You love your Metal Gear.
Yeah,
first
exactly. I
person,
love my
third
Metal Gear. I
person
got that Metal Gear. Yeah, first person Metal Gear. You can go into third person. You're like this like anime girl. It felt very Ghost in the Shell. That's what I felt like. Just like on rooftops, neon lights hitting me in the face as I'm watching a guard that's like right under me, and I land behind him and I hit him with a sword or shoot him in the head, and then like sneak off into the shadows. But the sheer freedom that I felt playing this game, it was almost overwhelming at first. And then I realized that I really could just do whatever I wanted. The cool thing too is the combat feels so like intense and scary. You can take out these guards in one shot if you hit them in the head. But the guns feel loud and powerful, and like the feeling of like being undercover. Somebody is shooting at you with an AK-47. It's just like relentless. And then you see them slowly approaching you, and you're like, well, I'm going to have to fight back. And then I turn on a cyber augmentation, slow time down, and pop both of them in the head, and then fucking turn that off. And I'm like, all right, good to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shit. I hate stealth games, but you said Ghost in the Shell, and I love that shit. So
it really does feel quite a bit like that. And yeah, I mean, you got like powers where you can like possess people. You got powers where you can like slow down time. You got a bunch of different approaches. It even asks you what your play style is, and it gives you a gun that's accordingly, works accordingly to that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so you can get like a shotgun. You can start off with like a pistol. You can start off with a silenced pistol if you're going to be sneaky. Really cool game. I highly recommend it. 1000% recommend.
Yeah, I know you're comparing it to Deus Ex, and that's a game that I've never played because it just
I didn't play the OG Deus Ex. I did play like the sequel, the Mankind, I think, or Human Revolution, I think. That one was really cool. I dig those games. I like stealth games. Anything that feels like Metal Gear, I'll play and enjoy.
You
so
also said it was similar to what's that Arcane game.
Like Dishonored too.
Dishonored.
Yeah, Dishonored is also kind of an immersive sim. So
Yeah.
it
That was another one
gives
that I
you
jumped into, and I was just like,
too overwhelming.
too much work.
It's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
But I'm not trying to hide this much.
If you like M Sims, 1000%, try it out. It's good.
Cool.
Hell yeah. So let us move on to, I think, our last game that I want to discuss today.
Save the best for last.
And this is developed by Enya Team, published by Joel G. This game is called Enya: Dream Barbecue. And
there we go. I fucking
this
knew it.
is
This guy's been visiting a little too often.
immediately for the second time this year. Hello, my name is Maxstein, and video games, they are art. They make me cry. Sometimes I see something that is so beautiful that I say to myself, my God, I have never seen something so crazy as this. Oh man, I want to take this game and boil it up into a pastry and bake it and put it in my mouth. Enya Dream Barbecue is
Get
a
it?
game that took me 2.2 hours to beat, and I think it's the second or third best video game that I have played this year.
I would agree with
It
that.
is a first-person adventure game. That is how a Philistine would describe it. But what it really is a 2.5 hour or more long art piece, basically. So this game is, I wrote, this game is a multimedia marvel that feels like someone combined that internet show, The Amazing Digital Circus, with that game Helix that Buck loves.
Oh, wow.
Because
So
like,
acid.
That
Yes.
Basically,
trip.
yes.
I was
no,
playing it
100%,
and I
yeah.
said to myself, I wish I was on acid right now because this game would be so perfect for it. This game feels like if Meow Wolf made a really good video game, because I know like Meow Wolf like dabbles in like doing digital multimedia stuff, but they never actually made a good video game. I'm sorry, but this feels like a actual group of surrealist artists got together and made a cartoon that you play, like a cartoon movie that you play, and it is free. It is free to play, and it
expensive.
is looks like it would.
feels like I'm stealing when I play it. Honestly, I
it's-
feel bad.
You're like, it's free, and then you see the art style, and you go, it looks primitive. Like it looks like it for free. It must be low budget. No, the production value on this work of art is astronomical. There is voice acting that is very good and recorded in very high quality in many languages. There are characters just speak French. There are characters that speak Japanese. There are characters that speak Chinese. There are characters that just go,
Yeah.
It's just like,
Oh, Ewok.
Yeah.
to just scream or something, and then they're like, your best friend is a black and white guy because you are a character named Enya, who is this entity that seems to be half masculine and half feminine. Like your face is
Like,
split in
literally
two,
split down the middle.
in as if it's one of those you've seen this before where like someone draws a face, but it's just like if you turn it this way, it's a 2-dimensional face, but it also looks like a face that is 3-dimensional facing you. And the character who you are, whenever you're in like these cutscenes or these in-between parts, will have moments where it divides its dialogue between two very distinct personalities with two different voice actors.
Yeah.
And so you are this entity that is actually like two different types of energy in one. And your goal of the game when you start is you and your Japanese friend are like, we gotta do our job and get to the boss. Which is just like a commentary on video games where it's just like, okay. And then it's
Yeah,
just like,
right.
oh man, how do we do that? And then your friend's like, oh, the boss is just right over there, but there's too much smoke in the air, so we can't get there. And you're like,
he's
okay.
"Oh."
And then it's just like, so we got to get rid of all this smoke. So how do we do that? And then your friend's like, you got to go down to reception and they'll know. And you're like, huh? And then you like turn around in the area where you are, and now there's stairs. And then you're like, okay. And then you go downstairs and there's like a crazy entity who's just like a marionette puppet, like that has crab arms. That's the person working the front desk, and they tell you
In
that
French.
they tell you in French
In
that
very
there
angry
are
French.
12 doors that within each one of them have a genie, and the only people that can get the smoke to stop is you got to convince the 12 genies behind the 12 doors.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, okay. So you leave. I should mention that this game begins with just like a scary Japanese street, and everything is very dark, and you're just sort of walking aimlessly. And then me and Raph had this same experience where you're just sort of walking, and then they use the sound design to like they make this like whoa sound behind you. And it gave me and Raph both the same feeling, which is like I have the urge to now turn around. So just to double check, and then when you turn around, there's this massive black entity flying in the sky, and you're just like
descending from the clouds.
Okay, and so you just like kind of turn around and continue walking, and you just keep walking and walking and walking, and you're like, what am I supposed to be doing? And then after some walking, you approach this like hospital bed, and then the prompt that you get for it is, would you like to open the door? And I was just like, what the fuck is happening? I like this is like the first 5 minutes of the game, and I was like, I'm already in love. This is already the most my shit I have ever seen in my entire life. So
this all just sounds like myhouse.wad.
yes,
Yeah,
actually, but it's much more organized than that, because there is a plot. Because like I said, you play as this character Enya, who has this job to do.
They're not just playing Enya in the background in the
you and this character and your Japanese friend have this job that I said, that nondescript job, and it's like a main focal point of the game. Like other characters, like when you introduce yourself to them, they're like, oh man, you're Enya and you have a job? That's awesome. It's like amongst the cacophony of like the absolute ridiculousness that is all the environments of the game and all the objectives of the game, you also have this critique of modern life. Like to me, I was talking to Raph and I was like, this game is a reflection of 21st century living, which is just like there are meaningless symbols scattered everywhere you go. Like I was like, back in the day, there were no symbols. There was just like stone and the woods, and maybe there would be like one statue in your town, and that could be the only statue you would ever see in your entire fucking life.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But like now, if you walk down a city street, it's just like, oh my God, every logo that you see, if you recognize it, your brain will register it and it will make you think about its existence. Like if you see a McDonald's sign, your brain will go, McDonald's, I know what that is. And then if you see another sign, you'll read it, and it's just like, oh my God, sign. And it's just like, it's all pretty much meaningless because it's all made up. You know what I'm saying? And so this game just does that in the most overt fashion, which just, it makes you walk around and interact with the world, and the world is meaningless. The world is surreal and absurd. Like it's Raph.
It reminds me of Monty Python, like Terry
Gilliam.
Yeah. Like Terry Gilliam's artwork.
Okay.
There's even like a section. Okay, this broke me. There's a couple of different things that broke me in this game. The guy in the taxi fucking broke me.
Oh my God.
The Wiggly Wizard fucking broke me.
So there's
the hippo, cobra, blood vessel prisms fucking killed me. Like that shit broke me. All right. That is the most Terry Gilliam shit I've ever seen. Floating prisms with hippo heads and fucking cobras on the back. It's wild.
There's a moment where there's a taxi cab that has another taxi cab on top of it, and when you go up to it, it says, "Do you want to take the taxi cab?" And I said yes, and the screen goes black, and then the screen loads back up, and you are in a very peaceful Japanese seaside town. And there's really nice jazz music playing, like really nice Persona level quality jazz music playing. And the streets are roped off with those Japanese, they don't use rope. They use those like plastic segments on the cones. And the only entity to interact with there is a man standing in a pink shirt and gray pants with flip-flops on, and his back is to you. And I walk up to him and I want to see what the front of him looks like. So I go to spin around him and he spins with you. So his back is always turned to you. So then you walk up to him and you press the interact key and the game does a close-up of him as he turns around and just goes, and he just looks ridiculous. He just looks like the ugliest MS Paint character you've ever seen, and then he just turns back around, and that's the only thing to do in that area. And I was just like, this is
that guy,
incredible.
That shit killed me. I would I don't know if you heard me just fucking laughing my ass off, just trying to talk to this guy, and he would just turn around and go, and then turn back around. It's so fucking funny to me.
There's a billion zillion different digital arts styles that are represented in this game. Like the characters are pretty much almost all two-dimensional, but some are like there's like a house, and it looks like it's an MS Paint drawing of a house. And if you walk up to it and then interact with it, this like flash quality MS Paint guy comes like screaming out of the house up to you and just like goes, and he just like says some absurd shit to you, just like some insane shit. And then there are other characters. There's this French guy who's blocking this like bridge.
Oh, no, it's the Italian guy, yeah.
Or the Italian guy, and he is like a 3D rendering of an aardvark that has no facial features, and he's upset because there's a boy in this building who will not stop staring at him. And he will not let you across the bridge until you can get the boy to stop staring at him. So you walk up to the boy and you ask him to stop staring, and he says, no, I can't. Then you walk 10 more feet and you find a fish tank who offers to sell you a jar of mayonnaise. Why would you want that? Well, because when you look at the description of the jar of mayonnaise, it says it makes an excellent sleep mask. So if you buy the jar of mayonnaise and put it on the boy's head, he'll stop looking at the Italian aardvark so you can go across the street to go to the bathroom. Because the main objective of this first adventure ends up being you open the first door, which is like the door of loneliness, to find the loneliness genie.
Jesus Christ.
And everyone in the loneliness. Yes. Do you see why I put this hat on? Do you understand why now? You go through the loneliness genie's realm, and everyone in there just wants to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It says it when you load into that area. It says you feel like you suddenly need to go to the bathroom. And anytime that someone says the word genie, like it goes like he goes G, and then it cuts off and goes bathroom. Like it just like superimposes the word bathroom over the word genie every single time.
You end up going to the bathroom, and it's like a nightclub, and everybody is waiting to get in. They're like, "Oh man, I've been waiting for 3 weeks to get into the bathroom." And it's like, God,
and then the nightclub fills with juice. It's weird, yeah. Like that whole man.
Oh
the ending of this game really fucked me up.
Well,
too.
Apparently there's somewhere that's a baby darling already, because Fangamer has a bunch of merch for it, and they like only do that for particular things, right? Oh yeah, they got pins and plushies and shirts and all kinds of stuff.
So the lonely door, I wrote down something that someone says to you when you're in line to go to the bathroom, and it's, they can't kidnap our will to go to the bathroom. They can't kidnap our free will to go to the bathroom.
That's
and I was
deep.
just like, what does that mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, this is incredible. This is the best. I love this
cinema.
Yeah,
right.
Truly.
I love
it's a movie I don't understand and I will never understand, but it's a cult classic.
Sure
my long story short for this game is it has so much going on that it reminds me of an old episode of like Family Guy, like a really good old episode of Family Guy, where the jokes come so fast and are so funny that you are so busy laughing at one that you miss like 3 other ones.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? Like so much shit. I write the notes as I play, and I had to stop every 5 seconds to write a note. It was outrageous.
I kind of want to play it again, because like we both had a situation where like, so you didn't find the thing to get the jar of mayonnaise. I did, and I got the jar of mayonnaise on the kid's head, but I never spoke to the guy at the bridge, so I never got to go and cross the bridge. I did the other ending where I ended up going through the purge event, which like it's
the purge.
What does that even mean? All the shit that I just said makes no fucking sense, but it makes perfect sense to me.
I agree with you.
This is my final thought, which is this game, I loved it so much that this is only the second game of all time that has ever caused me to write a Steam review. This is my Steam review. Enya Dream Barbecue is a multimedia fun house that feels like Meow Wolf teamed up with the creators of the Amazing Digital Circus. It is mind-boggling that this is free because the production quality is flabbergasting. Not the game itself per se, but more so the entire piece. It's got some really great music combined with very charming, high-quality voice acting to go along with its very funny writing in several different languages. The wildly varied digital art styles found throughout the sprawling psychedelic landscapes and the characters therein are a fantastically strange collection of ideas that kept me laughing and saying, what in the fuck is happening, in the best of ways. Incredible props to Enya team. This game will be something I absolutely recommend to anyone who loves things like Adult Swim, David Lynch, or Alan Wake. Not to mention that you've inspired me to write this, only my second Steam review in well over a decade of Steam gaming. I loved this game. And that's all I have to say about that. Raph, you don't have anything else to say, do you?
Nothing to add there. Nothing to add
Okay,
there. All I
good.
gotta say is the Wiggly Wizard was fantastic.
Wiggly
I
Wizard
sat there
tells
and
you
I
to go
watched
get a
him for a while.
life.
Wiggly Wizard.
Go get a life.
I sat there and I watched him dance for a few minutes. It was great.
All right, we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll do our What Else You Got and flee this episode like we're fleeing a scary interaction in Look Outside. Be right back. All right, we are back, and it is time for our What Else You Got, the section of our show where we can bring anything to the table, be it video games or otherwise. Today, I brought a movie. I saw Conclave. Came out earlier this
you
year,
did?
directed by
Oh.
Edward Berger, I think. It's relevant because it's about
Berger?
the guys picking the Pope, and that just happened. So I was like, oh shit, I should watch this movie. It stars Ray Fiennes, aka Voldemort, and he crushes it in this movie. Buck, have you seen this? Has anybody else seen this movie?
I heard it was.
No.
No, I haven't seen it though.
Oh man, it's 2 hours long, and I'm not gonna lie, I broke it into 2 chunks. I watched it 1 hour and then watched the second hour, and it didn't hurt it at all. It's a Ray Fiennes plays the guy who's basically in charge of picking the Pope, or not picking the Pope. They do it by voting, but he's in charge of that whole shit, like
That
the voting
process, I
thing,
guess,
and then
yeah.
like there's a surprising amount of drama that
I
comes
was gonna
with
say, and
like,
they make that interesting somehow, huh?
that's what I was like, oh boy, that sounds like a real snooze fest. But then
Just
it's
pick the guy from Chicago.
yeah, he looks like a real good boy. No, I also was just like, how can they make this dramatic? Like, aren't they probably a bunch of like I don't know, like really good guys? They're cardinals, but it's just like, they're not. Nobody's perfect. And then it's just like, also, it's got really good writing in the sense that like stuff happens. Like while the Pope is getting like elected, like people
Okay.
are notice that, and like outside forces interact with them, and it's just like, oh shit, whoa, I did
Oh.
not see this coming. So I really liked it. I'd probably give it like, honestly, 4 out of 5 stars. I thought Ray Fiennes as the main character, he's excellent at controlling the timbre of his voice, and he's just like,
Yeah.
nothing beats Ray Fiennes just going like, my brother, you want to hear my confession? And you're just like, whoa, shit, this is really serious. Ray Fiennes is whispering.
Wow. Where do you watch this at? What's it on? What streaming?
I watched
services?
it for free on Prime.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's on Prime. Okay,
Yep,
cool.
Yep. Conclave. Conclave.
Conky 2000, ready to
Conclave.
assist you, Pee-wee.
Conclave, starring Ray Fiennes. Go and watch it. I enjoyed it. Buck, what else have you got for us this week, sir?
Holy smokes, who is excited? Because if you're in the know, you know that we know that you can all know now that Crunkwitch's next album, In the Dark, comes out on May 30th.
Oh.
Oh, man.
I'm taking you for a ride. I'm going deep in the fire. Don't want your money. Just want you to myself.
Ooh,
Nice.
that was a
Wow.
bit from Shake My Bones, the first track on their new album, In the Dark.
Hell
I'm not
yeah.
going to lie. The lead guy from Crunkwitch, Brandon, sent me the whole album. So I've already heard it. And it's fucking awesome.
Oh, we got a new theme song on our hands.
Brother.
No, yeah.
We ma- there-
Of course,
man, there's
Crunkwitch
some
being the guys that do our theme song.
there's some bangers in here. Not to mention the bonus EP with a cover of "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen.
Oh, I bet
hell
they would
yeah.
kill that.
Pretty darn good.
He already
Um,
sounds like Freddie Mercury as it is.
That's already pretty. Yeah, but
Yeah.
most. I mean, they just really. There's some good.
That's some
man,
good.
It's
They didn't tell you what the name of the album is again. I'm sorry. Did you say
In
it?
the Dark
In the Dark.
is the name of the album. It comes out May 30th, and I totally got his permission for
Oh.
us to play that clip, and that's why we played that clip.
Hell yeah.
Internet
Oh,
lawyers
good for
out
them.
there.
Look
Good
out
for them.
for
they're,
that album.
They're good people. They do a good job. They're great folks. If you're in the greater Central Florida area next time they're around, highly recommend. They put on a great show.
They are going on tour again, and I will get Mac to we'll repost that for you for their
Mhm.
tour dates because they're going on tour this summer again, starting in I think June or July.
They're from the Northeast. Is that
They're
right?
from Maine.
They're from Maine.
Yeah.
So hey, if you're a musical booker, I guess, out in Maine or whatever, and you need someone to fill your club, hey, these guys. It's not often you get to actually know people that are, you know what I mean. But
Yep.
you know, Buck knows these guys, and they're nice and cool and friendly and just like trying to live life as an artist, which is incredibly hard.
Yeah, they're pretty cool dudes. Is
Yeah.
where you're at now, Venny? Where's Pensacola? I don't.
Pensacola is an hour to the west.
They are going to be there in June. If you want to see them where you're
Nice.
closer to where you are now.
Nice.
Does it say where? Is it like Pensacon or the Civic Center?
Betty's in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
On June 22nd, and they'll be here in Orlando at Uncle
Nice.
Lou's on June the 20th.
Oh,
That's
Love
awesome.
Uncle Lou's. Nice. Raph, what else have you got for us this week?
not much gaming wise. Like I do have a YouTube channel. So I've had
Oh
this
no,
channel.
they're not going to break down Demon Slayer fights
No,
now and turn them
these-
into.
These are deep dives though. These are deep dive videos. So this guy I follow on YouTube, and he released a video as of this recording about 5 hours ago, and it kind of reminded me that they existed. But it's called Dungeon Chill, and this guy just kind of does like breakdowns of like video games, anything with a dungeon. Really, I used to do a lot of like dungeon crawl videos, but the video in question now is one that I'll actually go ahead and link to you guys in our Discord. But it's actually about a game called oh my god, I should have had this. Time Twist, a Famicom disk system game that came out in Japan that I had never heard of before. And I didn't get to finish this video before this recording, but I'm going to go back and finish it because this game apparently had everyone from Joan of Arc to Adolf Hitler in it. And I said that sentence.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dark
Yeah,
I
this is
said that
apparently-
sentence.
Yeah, the title of this game or the title of this video, it says Nintendo wants us to forget this game exists. I guess it has a lot of shit that went down in this game that probably would not have been okay today, but it's still a pretty interesting video.
No, that's the reason why we
wow.
never got it in the States. No one in Japan gives a shit.
Yeah,
They're-
right. Maybe
they're
maybe
not
that's
as
why, yeah.
sensitive as us as
Yeah.
far as historical events go.
But yeah, Dungeon Chill. He's got a few really cool videos on there. I think I've seen a lot
France,
of
1428. Germany, 1944. These are the moments of the game that you exist within. Greece,
Yeah.
between 400,
400
BC.
BC.
Right,
America
yeah,
in
yeah.
1864. Pretty rough times.
Israel
Yeah,
4 BC.
Israel.
What happened
Yeah.
in Israel around 4 BC?
Oh, God, yeah.
Jeez.
No, I
Wow,
learned
incredible.
some stuff. I didn't know that the Famicom disk system that you could just download games at. I guess we probably mentioned it on the podcast
They had
before.
kiosks
They had
back
kiosks.
in the day.
Yeah.
They had these disc kiosks. I actually showed Venny a little model of one that they had a toy of in a toy store, and they were
That was
literally
cool.
like these booths you would go to. You would bring the disc. The Famicom disk system disc was just like a bloated little floppy disk.
Yeah.
It was proprietary, but it was different. And you could put it in the kiosk, and you could give it money, and you could say, "I want this game," and it would load that game onto that blank disc for you, and you could take it home. Because you have to remember, rentals of games and movies in Japan has always been against the law. Blockbuster
Really?
rental never existed in Japan.
I didn't
Wow.
know
They,
that.
they skirted that in the 80s, and they never had to look back, and they didn't have to worry about it, but they had things like this instead.
It's so wild to me that how protective Nintendo is of its IP, that in like the 80s and 90s this existed. Like the fact that you could just download them onto your own, disc. That's wild to me. For
It was a
like
very
500
Japanese
yen,
thing.
something
Yeah.
like that
It
is
was
what
a very
they charge
Japanese
for
thing.
it.
All the used game stores we went to, you would see all over the place Famicom disc games that were like blank with just a
Mm.
sticker on them in writing, because that's basically someone had bought that at some point and they had downloaded it from a kiosk. sometimes they sold like aftermarket stickers for a game, and you could put the sticker on the disc, and it was
Ah,
just like a little Avery looking label thing, but a little nicer quality.
It's
Right
a
in
good
the middle.
idea.
Very cool.
Floppy Joe, Floppy Joe. Hey, Mr.
Famicom sandwich.
Benicor. What else have you got for us this week?
Let's see. In the way of video games, just our hot Steam stuff. I've been playing through Live Alive a little more. I'm almost at the end of the 7th scenario in Live Alive.
Sweet.
Nice.
Which is really cool. Like the origin of Saga Frontier and Octopath Traveler. Like this was the game that did it first, and the remaster, that the 2D HD remaster, is actually quite good. It's very impressive visually.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
I never got to play that.
Do any of you watch Black Mirror on Netflix?
A little bit, yeah.
I dropped off
yeah.
after like
Yeah.
season 3 or
Okay.
something.
The
I
wife
never
and
made
I
that far.
wife and I really like it, and we're watching the newest season of Black Mirror that dropped a few weeks ago. And the 5th episode is this episode called Throng. I forget the name of the episode, but it's about a video game from the 90s that apparently, like, if you're on acid, you can receive hidden messages from this video game. And
Is this like the Legend of Polybius?
I don't want to spoil anything because it's
I
a
think
really,
that's what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
it's a really cool.
What?
I mean, you want to put your art snob hat on for this one for sure, Mac.
Shit.
I'll have to find the name of the episode for you, but yeah, we've been enjoying the latest season of Black Mirror, and also for us Dead by Daylight fans out there, Buck and I, their Choose Your Own Adventure, a la Until Dawn, a la Heavy Rain, the cinematic adventure games, the casting of Frank Stone, the Dead by Daylight Choose Your Own Adventure
That's what
game,
that is.
is now
okay.
80% off as of the
Now is
time
the
of this
time to
recording.
buy, my
So
children.
now's the time to get it. I'm going to get it on PlayStation so I can play it on the big screen. So I've been looking for the buying opportunity, and it is here. So
It's just made by the Dead by Daylight people.
it is
In
made by the
conjunction with those other folks, right?
Dead by Daylight people, and it's set in the Dead by Daylight world. So it's actually an origin story. I think that's the teaser. It's apparently like some kind of origin story of some of the stuff that goes on in the world of horror of Dead by Daylight. That's what they want us to believe. I've not played the game yet. It'll
So
probably
many IPs
yeah.
in that.
But Supermassive
game.
was the developer
probably
for
twist.
it. So
Yes.
even though it's their thing, they were just the developer behavior. Supermassive actually was the developer. So it's made by the guys that make all those cinematic games.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
not to be
yeah.
confused with
So-
Super Giant. Are those the names the guys that made Hades?
Right.
Yes. Well, cool. Nice. Go and get what is it? The casting of Frank Stone.
The casting of Frank Stone, casting as in casting a movie.
Mm.
Ooh. Now you've what does Leonardo
$7.
DiCaprio say? And now you have my interest.
You
Well,
had my
that-
interest. Now you have my attention.
My attention. That's what it is. Hey, that's the end of our show. We did it. We got to the end of another one. Thank you so much for listening or watching, dear listener or watcher, you bread and breadettes out there. Do us a huge favor, like and subscribe this episode and the channel if you haven't already. If you are just listening to this on your podcast app, don't forget that Spotify is pushing that video. This is a video podcast. You can take this out and look at it in your hands. You'll see Dream Barbecue. I'll put some overlay over my very long discussion, and you'll be like, wow, I should play this game. You can reach out to us via email with any questions, comments, or games you want us to play at gametreasurepodcast@gmail.com. You can head over to our link tree where you can find both our merch store and our Patreon, patreon.com/the GTP, where for just $5 a month. And you can also just do this for 1 month. You can listen to all of our UFO 50 deep dive episodes. And we have I have an idea for our next grouping of Patreon stuff, Buck. So I'll
Nice.
talk to you about that, and we'll reveal that maybe in a couple of episodes from now.
I like stuff.
Mm.
But yes, linktree/the GTP. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find them on Spotify and Apple Music. Just like Buck said, look out for their new album coming out at the end of this month. And then they're going to be going on tour. So check that out as well. And of course, last but not least, we would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com, owned and operated by the Megabuck himself, the sponsor of the Retro Zone. Bringer of ice hockey. Retro Game Treasure is a subscription service that takes the hassle out of collecting retro video games. No more hunting, no more guessing, and no more wasted time. Instead, RetroGameTreasure.com subscribers tell Buck what consoles they have and what kinds of games that they like, and then he painstakingly packs individual boxes for all of his customers that are in accordance with their tastes and their collection. He even keeps track of the games that you have in your collection so you never get a repeat game, not just the games that he's given you. And this goes without saying, those games are yours to keep. There's some confusion there. Anyhow, want to start collecting a new console? No problem. You can head on over to their console shop page where, whether you're a member or not, you can get great deals on new and refurbished consoles and their accessories. So if you get an N64 and you want to start collecting N64 games, you can just head on over to your page, click I have an N64 now, and then Buck starts feeding you N64 games in that box, just like he was talking about ice hockey, $5 MSRP. He packs that in. There's math involved. He's looking at your tastes. It's the easiest, fastest way to grow your retro gaming collection. So start collecting games the easy way today with RetroGameTreasure.com. Buck, do you have a list of new subscribers this week?
This week we welcome Josh Turco, Roberto Rodriguez, Carl Potter, Ryan Weeks, Brandon Newland, Adam Loren, Angela Da, and Britt Horvath.
Very nice. Thank you for subscribing. It really helps. Until next week, my name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure podcast. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
We come to rock the party, me and my robot army. We came to break shit down. And if you're feeling fighting, we got them fists like lightning, and we will knock you out. We're the best number one. We will never be defeated. We just know cause it's burning in our hearts. Other guys may be good, but with someone to believe in, we'll keep rising as we reach to the stars. And it's all